People that are very hypervigilant will pick up what the therapist wants to hear if there's an agenda. We've got to believe we have the right to this boundary. Does it feel like there's a power imbalance going on here? Do you feel like you're trying to second guess what is expected of you? I don't set goals because the minute I do, I've taken control over that goal. What is really going on? The therapist is often more of a mirror to what's going on. Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist. And today what I'm going to be looking at is the relationship between the client and the therapist and why the client should never have to please the therapist. And this can be a big issue in therapy. Before I jump into that, if you're enjoying these videos, then give us a like and subscribe to our channel because it really helps us get our message out there to loads more of you. We are conditioned from the time that we're really little to be good, to please others. You know, we want to please our parents. Of course we do. We want praise and, you know, that conditions. We want more praise and less tellings off. When we're at school, we are really, you know, doof, doof, do. You're expected to sit up straight, be quiet, do as you're told all the time, obey the rules. And none of us like being told off. Well, most of us don't like being told off and being in trouble. And so we learn to work out really quickly what are the things that will please and how can we be the best version of ourselves to get the most praise. And we all want to be liked and we want to jog along with people and we don't want to be getting into trouble. And so we learn the rules and we learn the terms of engagement and they're ingrained. This starts really, really young and the more pressure that's put on us to be good and to be a certain way, then the more that we take that on. And the problem with that is it can be very limiting and it can also be very disempowering because for those people who are absolutely, you know, always trying to do the right thing, be the best version of ourselves, it will show up in our posture, the way that we sit, it will show up in the way that we articulate ourselves, what we say, and it can really hold us back from really showing up and being more spontaneous and, you know, doing the things that we want to do and not being so bothered about what people think. When we've been conditioned to please, then we're really bothered about what people think and we worry about criticism and we worry about what people think of us and are we getting it right or not? Did I say something wrong? It can be a very tiresome burden to kind of carry around and to have to do this all the time. And also it really shrinks us. It limits what we do, how we are. I pick this up a lot in therapy. I did a video with a friend of mine, Fliss, a little while ago, and while we were trying little different things with the body, I noticed that Fliss was absolutely laser focused on what I was doing and trying to copy the way I was doing it. Absolutely. And I get this a lot with clients. It's like, we'll say, oh, well, you know, maybe we could put our hands together and pull and see what it's like to have that kind of expansive feeling of strength around. And they're absolutely locked into how I've got my fingers, which hand is in front of the other one, and trying to copy and repeat. Now, when I start to notice that, then I'm aware of the power imbalance. I'm holding the power. I'm the one doing it. I'm the one asking somebody to try something, and they are trying to please me. They're trying to do it right. And so, you know, there's lots of ways around that. Sometimes I'll say, okay, well, if I close my eyes and we do this, then, you know, feel free to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, but I'm going to keep my eyes shut and I'm going to give you the power to say when I can open my eyes again. When you're finished and you're ready, you just say, okay, and I'll open my eyes. So I'm trying to take the power away from me and give it back so that the person that I'm with can actually begin to notice what this is like for them, taking me out of the equation. What does it feel like when you do X, Y, or Z? What does your body tell you? How can you tell if that's a helpful thing, if it's a good thing, or it's not? It's got to be about you and not about the person. It's a number one reason why I don't set goals with people. If something's come up and it really helps and works, I might say, you know, if you want to practice this at home, that might be a good idea, but only if you want to. I don't set goals because the minute I do, I've taken control over that goal. How did you get on with that last week? They're reporting back to me. I'm the one in charge of the goal. That doesn't help with the power differential, and it doesn't help with the person, it being about them and what that experience is really like. Because if it's been awful, then I want them to come back and tell me. It's like, okay, that's really interesting. There must be a very good reason for that. I wonder what it is that makes that so awful. Takes us on another part of the journey, kind of, you know, digging deep down to what really makes us tick, what is really going on. I am the least important person in the relationship. I can't make assumptions. I don't have all the answers. The body has all the answers. The person's head has all the answers. The unconscious has all the answers. It's the things that are either not said, the sentences that aren't finished, or it's the throwaway things that are just said. It's like, whoa, hang on a minute, that sounds very important and revealing. And the unconscious things that the body's doing, the way it's moving and expressing itself, what's happening internally. That's what's important. And the focus has to become away from me. I'm the facilitator, I'm the noticer, I'm the person that's curious, I'm the kind of pathfinder, the road builder to what's really going on, how to make sense of what's, you know, coming up because of what the body is telling me. Very often, you know, people will try different experiments, but their hands will stay very, very still. I'm like, oh, your hands don't seem to take part when you do that. And, you know, when you look down on your hands, what do you think? It's like, oh, they are very well-behaved, good hands. They're presenting the best appearance to the world. And if that's perfectly okay and that's the way you want it to be, brilliant. Would you like to be able to do something else? Would you like to have a little bit more expansion and to be able to kind of speak your mind, be a bit more spontaneous? If we can't do any of those things, making a boundary is really difficult. We're much more likely to go along with what people want, not express ourselves in case they don't like our suggestion or they don't want to hear what we have to say. That makes a boundary really, really difficult because we've got to believe we have the right to this boundary. We've got to believe that this is the best thing for us and that we can withhold it if people push back on it because we have a right to it. It's okay to have this boundary. We're allowed. We can give ourselves permission. If we can't do those things, then that's going to be very difficult. And, you know, the interactions that happen in therapy can be really, really revealing for those things. When someone's coming into therapy, if they're under the illusion that the therapist knows all of the answers, has all the solutions to everything, and is always kind of, you know, giving advice on what to do and try this, this will help, it's very difficult for the client to say, that didn't help. And if the therapist has an ego about that, they're not going to want to hear that. And then you can get into a really difficult dynamic and the client can feel blamed, they're not trying hard enough, they're being resistant, they've got a whole number of things. When we can take the power out of it, the importance of one person and another, it's like two equal people. What's your body telling you? What do you want to bring? What's been going on this week? You don't want to talk about anything? Brilliant, your body will speak. Let's just start working with this and just organically seeing what comes up. The therapist is often more of a mirror to what's going on. I'm the one observing, I can see, I can, you know, take on what that person's body is doing, ask the person, what comes up for you when you see me adopt this position? You know, what comes up for you? What does it look like? And very often they can recognize that, tell their story, and then begin to notice that this is what they're doing themselves. If the person wants more expansion and wants more of this, then we have to know what lies in the way of that. What is it that's making that difficult? And only by me watching and not making any assumptions about, oh, your body's doing that, therefore it means X, Y, or Z. Because I don't know the backstory. I don't know. And if I do that, I'm going to miss the real subtle communication, the really important bits that are coming through. Because very little shy parts, you know, if someone thinks that they have to be the best version of themselves, put themselves forward, and people that are very hypervigilant will pick up what the therapist wants to hear if there's an agenda, and they'll deliver it. And that's not going to, you know, really allow the huge change, the things that lie underneath it to be revealed and to show themselves. Those are the real gems in therapy. It's like, oh, very interesting. When you say that, you say an expansive thing, your hands pull themselves right back. It seems like your body and your head, they have a different view of this. It's like, oh yeah, interesting. And we can start to work with those things. And that makes the work brilliant and fascinating and so revealing and allows so much change. So, you know, taking out the ego and the getting it right and, you know, doing things the right way. Once we can get those things out of the way, then the real work can really start and reveal itself, and it's brilliant. You know, if you're in therapy and you're just kind of aware of an expectation on you to be a certain way, if you're aware of a dynamic that's going on between you and your therapist, then if you feel comfortable, you know, find ways of trying to communicate that. You know, talk to people about it. What's the best way I can present this? And when we speak from the I position, you know, I feel that I have to, you know, report certain things. There's expectations on me, and maybe that's my stuff because I've had expectations on me all my life. I know how to deliver. I just want to bring that. I don't want that to be an issue in my therapy because I know that I can do that. And maybe invite your therapist to help you notice when that is happening. Does it feel like, you know, if you put that on the table, then you and your therapist can have an agreement. If it feels like that power imbalance is shifting, then, you know, just check in every now and again. Does it feel like there's a power imbalance going on here? Do you feel like you're trying to second guess what is expected of you? And we can take all those expectations off the table, because whatever is present, you know, it's not a problem, it's just something that's coming up, and it presents huge opportunities to work with it. Allow your therapist to be as creative with it as they want to be. Would it be okay to try like this? You know, like I say, I quite often will change the positions in the room so that we're sitting side by side. Does that, you know, just noticing what makes it different. I can close my eyes, I can give the power over to the client. Okay, I can move my chair anywhere you want me to move it to. What's that like? And it can be quite a big deal in the beginning. But all of those things can just help work on the power imbalance, the right to have space, that right to take up room and to have an opinion and to be heard. If we can't do that in the therapy session, it's going to be really hard to do that on the outside world. So, you know, just be aware of that dynamic that's going on between you and the therapist. Be aware of your expectations when you're going in there. You know, what are the underlying unsaid things that are going on? And just, you know, make the unspoken spoken, even if just to yourself at first, before you say it to your therapist. But just, you know, start being aware of these things, because honestly, we don't hold the answers. Without the client, we're nothing. And without the client revealing all the things that are lying underneath, we're not clever, we're not smart, we're just somebody else sitting in the chair listening. If all I'm doing is listen to somebody's conversation, then I'm just in that linear place with them. It's my job to be curious and to bring people's attention to certain things, not in a critical way, always in a curious way, and often with a lot of humour as well, because that can really help. Okay, I really hope that's been thought-provoking, interesting, informative. If it has, then please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, bye.